is doing that thing again. You know, the thing where it's super slow to do the thing that keeps us safe, like we did with testing and contact tracing, and now with vaccinating.
Could you be giving the shots faster?
Yeah, of course.
So we asked why they aren't. And a viewer wanted to know if the KGW Vault had anything on the 1976 plane crash in East Portland.
I didn't know if we were dead or alive.
And, oh wait, and guess who's back? That's right, it's Tootie. And here's the story.
Hey, hi guys, I'm Dan Haggerty. I'm refreshed, I'm back. Welcome to the story. We're gonna be answering a lot of questions tonight. We're even gonna read some of your mean tweets at the end, so if you have something to get off your chest that you wanna send my way, grab your phone, now's the time. Tweet us using that hashtag HeyDan or email the story at kgw.com. You can also follow us on Instagram while you're at it, at the story KGW. It's pretty fun there. Now, look, I wanna tell you it's our last show of 2020 on the second to last day of the year, so we didn't technically make it there yet, but we made it. Okay, let's just say that. We launched this show, if you consider yourself like a longtime viewer of the show, it hasn't been that long. We launched at the end of January, which yes, does feel like 25 years ago. But you know, it was in 2020, and there are so many things that we didn't know when that all started, this show. Like if you'd like it or not. We weren't sure if we'd still be on at this point. We weren't sure if you were going to communicate with us every day. You hear me asking every night to say, you know, the hashtag HeyDan. We weren't sure if you would bite and like that. And to be honest, we didn't know how long we could probably keep this up. You know what else we didn't know? We didn't know that 2 months after we launched the show, we'd all be producing this show from our home. I didn't know that I'd be the only story team member, along with our director, Jay, who was actually coming into the building to spend this half an hour on the air with you every single night. We certainly didn't anticipate all the tragedy and the sickness and the death that so many people have experienced. We also didn't anticipate this. Who did? These protests and the unrest and the lurching change that came with all that. I didn't expect to taste tear gas for the first time. I'm sure this guy didn't either, Mayor Ted Wheeler. And while we know that we have to expect wildfires in this part of the country here in the West Coast, never in a million years do we expect them to be on the historic scale that we witnessed this summer. I never expected to be nearly evacuated from my home in Clackamas County. How many people can relate to that? How about the entire town of Estacada being on the edge of an inferno, literally? It was a heavy, heavy year. But through the pandemic and the unrest and the destruction, we did also get to witness some of the best of humanity. I mean, the doctors and the nurses and the healthcare workers staying strong. I mean, you know how difficult their jobs have been for this year? Keeping us safe, or the neighbors, right? How many people we saw banging the pots and pans every night to show their appreciation to the heroes next door. Or the rivers of people flooding the streets and the bridges in acts of peaceful demonstration. I mean, one of the most important parts of our democracy against a system that they have never felt they were truly a part of. The firefighters who put their lives on the line to help save homes from destruction, or some of the families that did lose everything, but still managed to find ways to smile because they had each other. And I want to also mention the grocery store workers. You know, the people who never skipped a beat. They risk their health day in and day out because they are essential to our lives. And I don't want us to forget that last part. Yet here we are, okay, at the end of probably the most volatile year of most of our lives, with possibly more hope right now than any other time we've had in 2020. A hope that a vaccine can finally eradicate COVID-19 and get life back to normal, or I don't know, whatever normal ends up being after this. And while we can't predict what's going to happen next year in 2021, I will tell you that our New Year's resolution is that we will be around to try and help you make sense of it all, and to keep holding our leaders accountable, something that we're going to do tonight in our big story. Because, you know, Operation Warp Speed in Oregon is more like Operation we're on it. We're just hold tight, where it's in the works. All right, so look, we just got our hands on new numbers that show Oregon has only given out 20% of the vaccine doses sent here. Now, a few weeks ago, you may remember, we came down pretty hard on the state for starting to vaccinate so late. We were the 49th state to start. And we weren't being critical to be bullies, all right? We weren't trying to be mean. We did that because Oregon has been pretty much behind this entire pandemic. behind on testing, behind on contact tracing, behind on PPE. And when I say behind, I mean behind, like back of the pack. So today, Kristen Severance got a chance to ask the Oregon Health Authority a simple question. Why?
Oregon has received more than 130,000 doses of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines, but has only vaccinated just over 30,000 people, according to a report by Bloomberg and the state's own numbers.
There are a number of reasons that things are, going a bit slower than I think we want here at Oregon Health Authority.
Oregon Health Authority spokesman Jonathan Modi said there are a few reasons for the delay. Pfizer needs ultra-cold storage. Facilities need to read up on all the detailed information that comes with the vaccines, and the possible side effects need to be taken into account, especially with healthcare workers.
It's ensuring that that they're scheduling in a way that that they're not taking out an entire unit at a health facility if potentially most of the people who've gotten vaccinated during that scheduled day have side effects.
But all of these things were known before the vaccines were even approved. So why wasn't Oregon more on the ball or prepared to administer more doses, like on Christmas Day, when just 11 shots were given statewide? Modi said with the holiday, less people around to give the shot or get it.
Could Oregon be doing a better job at this? Could you be giving the shots faster?
Yeah, of course. We could be, and we are working with the providers to find those ways of improving their efficiency.
Modi said as more providers receive the doses, the numbers will go up.
Okay, Kristen Severance joining us now here in the studio. Wondering, just from your perspective, do you feel like you got your questions answered today as to why things are happening so slowly?
Not really. I mean, none of these things are new. These are all issues that we knew about before the vaccine even arrives. I interviewed Jonathan Modi. He's a spokesperson. He's very knowledgeable, but he's not in charge of this rollout. I really want to hear from senior leadership at OHA on why this is going so slowly.
Yeah, sure. And I know a lot of people at home are probably wondering, we've been making a big deal about how many doses actually get shipped to the state, but it doesn't feel like at this point that is the most important number, is it?
I think we made a huge deal about the number of doses being shipped to the states, but really what this shows us, it doesn't matter if we have 500,000 doses or 100,000 doses like we do now. The number that's important is the number of shots being administered.
Yeah, you could have as many as you want in the stockpile. We have to see how many people are actually getting them.
Right, which is why that dashboard is so important.
Got it. Kristen Severance, thank you.
You bet.
Now, let's answer a question from viewer Rose Hayes asking, has Governor Brown received a vaccine shot? So, Rose, we took your question to the governor's press secretary, who said that Governor Brown has not received the vaccine yet. They say that she'll likely be vaccinated when it's more widely available to most Oregonians. Another question from a viewer named Michelle, who wants to know, when might paramedics receive the vaccine? And the answer is they already are. All right, we got some video of it today. Paramedics are in that big 1A group, according to the Oregon Health Authority. That's the first group to get the shot. Off-duty personnel were the first to get the shot today, so people didn't have to go to work with the side effects, things like fevers or sore arms, which we know are side effects. Also, Portland firefighters expect to get 1,000 doses as early as today and start administering those tomorrow. So keep those questions coming at the story at KGW.com or use the hashtag HeyDan. We should squeeze one more in. This is from a viewer, Cindy. She asked, hey, Dan, help me understand why outdoor dining in an enclosure is safer than indoor dining. So you're not the first person to be thinking this. I think we might have all thought this at one point or another, especially since indoor dining is still banned in Oregon counties that are considered extreme risk, and Washington just extended its ban until at least January 11th. And you've probably seen a lot of restaurants putting up some of these outdoor tents, and some of these are really heavy duty to give people some more comfortable options. But at some point, some of those outdoor tents are very inside-ish, and they almost defeat the purpose. So Keely Chalmers talked to one of Portland's biggest celebrity chefs to see how he's running things.
We actually created a pandemic-proof, COVID-safe, completely outdoor dining experience.
Welcome to the Con Winter Village in the parking lot of the Red in Southeast Portland. Chef Gregory Gourday's latest creative endeavor.
I'm drawing inspiration from my Haitian heritage and some of the BIPOC global flavors from all around the world.
Gourdet is best known for competing on Top Chef and Executive Chef of Departure atop the Nines Hotel in downtown Portland. When the pandemic forced him to put his plans of opening a new restaurant on hold, Gourdet partnered with American Express and Resi to open up this pop-up outdoor restaurant. Families dine in one of 10 individual yurts, but that's not all.
The experience can be contactless if you desire. We'll leave the food right outside. So everything has been thought of to create as safe an experience as possible.
Diners get their temperatures checked when they come in, masks are required, and distancing is a must.
It feels good to be able to offer something to the community, offer something to diners. You know, it feels really good to be able to employ people and offer a safe work environment. You know, we test the staff for COVID weekly. We're taking tons of safety precautions in the kitchen as well.
Many restaurants are turning to outdoor dining as a way to survive this pandemic, putting up tents like this one here as a way to help keep diners out of the elements and more comfortable while eating their meals.
They may be outdoor structures, but they're not the outdoors.
Dr. Richard Corsi is an internationally recognized expert on indoor air quality. He says while eating with immediate family members only inside a tent is okay, if there are multiple tables inside and the tent is enclosed, it may not be any safer than eating indoors.
They may be worse than the indoor environment if there's not sufficient physical distancing between tables. And also if there's not sufficient ventilation of the structure.
His advice, don't stop supporting local restaurants, just support them with safety in mind.
I do think it's important to support local industry and, you know, take out as much as you can, give really big tips.
Because they all need our help, and we need them too, to give us back a little of what this pandemic has taken away as we look forward to a more hopeful new year.
And I just want to be really clear that, you know, coming to support a restaurant like this supports a lot of people. So thank you.
In Portland, Keely Chalmers, KGW News.
Now, something we love to do on this show, and if you watch us, you know that, we like to look back at some of the stories throughout our local history by digging into the KGW Vault. Now, Chris sent me this suggestion, and this is probably something a lot of you, if you've lived in Portland for a while, you remember this. He said, hey, Dan, you asked about ideas for the Vault. How about the plane crash in Portland in 1978? 10 people died. Seems like it could have been much worse. That United Airlines crash happened 42 years ago this week at 157th and East Burnside, right in the middle of a residential neighborhood. We found a story from the KGW Vault from 1998. Looking back at the crash on its 20th anniversary.
People who heard the crash say they also felt it. When United Flight 173 landed, the ground shook and windows rattled. Immediately, the frenzy to rescue survivors began. It was December 28, 1978, around 6:15 p.m.
I smelled this funny smell like WD-40 and dirt and everything, and I didn't know if we were dead or alive.
This passenger was one of 179 people to survive. 10 people, including 3 children, died. Amy Ford Connor did not know anyone had lost their lives when she walked out of the wreck. She was 17.
Some ways it feels like it was just, you know, last month. And then sometimes it feels like it never happened at all.
Connor has repressed the memories of the moments when the plane hit the ground, but she can never forget what could have been.
It's twofold. You know, of course, the most immediate is they died. And I was a part of that. And the other piece is that it could have been me.
20 years later, Connor has discovered her therapies for coping, from spinning cloth to speaking frankly about her story. She remains haunted, though, in other ways. It has been 14 years since she has flown in a plane.
I tried everything from self-hypnosis to biofeedback to Valium, Seconal. And I was miserable. It was just awful. Physical symptoms, not just emotional.
20 years has also erased all signs of the crash at 157th and East Burnside. But Connor is now working to revive memories of this scene. She has organized a reunion for Monday. 150 to 200 people are expected.
But I felt a need to be with people who were there, who can share my story, and to hear their stories, to see how they're doing. I just wanted to see if anybody else wanted to come.
Tina Kim, KGW Northwest News, Channel 8.
Now you have to keep in mind, Popular Mechanics listed this crash as one of the 12 plane crashes that changed aviation because it led to some big changes in airline safety, mostly with how the cockpit crew was managed. See, the plane was supposed to land at PDX that day, but had trouble with its landing gear, and then they ran out of fuel while circling the airport. The cockpit crew was blamed for not paying enough attention to the fuel running out. So after the crash, the NTSB started recommending cockpit resource management training, which is now standard for all airline crews.
You know, I still never got my interview with future Clackamas County Chairwoman Tootie Smith, and I'm starting to think I never will. But she did fire off quite the tweet that we're going to dissect. And two Oregonian photographers who captured 2020 on film reflect on a year of change and protest.
We were in the midst of an uprising.
And we end our final show of the year with some of your most creatively mean comments. And don't forget, there's still time to get yours in when the story continues.
Welcome back to the last episode of the story for 2020. Hopefully not the last one ever. My boss hasn't said anything yet about us keeping this thing going. So I guess we'll have to wait till Monday to find out. Either way, keep using that hashtag HeyDan or emailing the story at kgw.com. We're going to read some mean tweets at the end of the show. If you need some incentive, hop on. Let me know what you think. But before we read those tweets, we're going to read one of hers. That is Tootie Smith, soon to be chair of Clackamas County Board of Commissioners, who in November said she planned to defy the state's rules against large gatherings and host a Thanksgiving party. Then she went on Fox News and talked to Tucker Carlson and said that Governor Brown was treating Oregonians as, quote, second-rate slaves, which was a little cringy at best. I tried to nab an interview with her after all of that, but she dodged me many times, which really didn't totally surprise me. But she then piqued my interest again 2 days ago when she tweeted this in all caps, quote, Oregon has fourth fewest virus cases, yet among strictest lockdowns. I'll give you kind of a minute to chew on that. I want you to get your own interpretation of what you think it means. See, to me, it reads like, and this is based on kind of what I know and what have read about Tootie Smith, that she is mad that we're all locked down, even though cases are relatively low here in Oregon. Well, to me, I don't know, I'm reading it that Oregon has a relatively low number of cases because we have strict lockdowns, right? I mean, imagine me saying or tweeting out, Dan gained 7 pounds over the holidays, yet drank and ate horribly with total disregard for his waistline. You'd think, yeah, that's the equation. That's literally how it's supposed to work. Again, we don't know for sure exactly what she meant with that tweet. I do know how we could find out if she sat down with me for an interview, maybe next year. Now, here on the story, we like to recommend works from other local news outlets when we think that those pieces of work are worth your time. And yesterday we talked about this great photo essay in the Oregonian, looking back at 2020 in pictures. Our Maggie Vespa talked with the two Oregonian photographers who helped put that project together. And they talked about our summer of protest and how thousands of people crowded shoulder to shoulder on the streets during a pandemic before we had a full understanding of how that might actually affect the spread. Here's what they said.
It was clear really early on that we were in the midst of an uprising. And I remember in those early days being on the Burnside Bridge that was completely shut down, and, you know, just thousands and thousands of people on the bridge in silence, on the ground, hands behind their back, you know, that just incredibly dramatic stuff playing out before me. And I remember pausing in the midst of all that and looking around and thinking, I might die. We all might die. You know, it's amazing. It's remarkable to look back at that now, but it's true. We really had no data, anecdotal or otherwise. You know what we were, what could happen as a result of this. Right after that, I thought, but everyone here is willing to die for this.
I think that's one of the things that made it so powerful is everybody had to come to that decision. Like, this is more important. It's more important for me to be out here protesting in spite of what that could mean to my health, and many thousands of people made that decision.
Now, the data, of course, we learned more. We learned since from the OHA and county health leaders and others from across the country that the protests did not contribute significantly to the spread of COVID-19, possibly due to the fact that they were all outdoors and that people were wearing masks. The photo project is really powerful, of course. Beth and Dave did really great work, along with all the Oregonian photographers who contributed to this year's work and everything that they've been doing. You can see the entire project right now at OregonLive.com. Now, seeing it as it's our last show of the year, we wanted to take a look back at a topic that seemed like it was always part of the story, no matter what we were covering this year: misinformation and disinformation. So here's a flashback to a story that we put together after the very first presidential debate. All right, and those words are going to bring us to our big story, which is all about disinformation and misinformation, because I think a lot of people think that misinformation and disinformation are identical, kind of like, I don't know, the Olsen twins. Like, we're not really quite sure why there are two of them, but there are, so we're just going to deal with it. But in reality, they're more like Will Ferrell and the drummer from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They might look a lot alike, but they're actually not even related. I know, I couldn't believe that either. They look like brothers. But there is a difference between misinformation and disinformation, and the difference lies in intent. See, misinformation is false information shared unintentionally, like your uncle sharing a fake article on Facebook or something like that. He probably just didn't take the time to do the research. He hit that share button after reading nothing more than a headline. But disinformation is more insidious. It is false information shared on purpose, with the knowledge that it is false, which is a popular technique with online bots. And we saw lots of false information shared before, during, and after last night's debate. In the hours leading up to it, false rumors like this one started spreading that Vice President Biden was wearing a wire or an earpiece, which turned out to be a crease in his shirt and a rosary on his wrist. Others accused him of using performance-enhancing drugs, which Biden dismissed, apparently having fun with it by tweeting this picture of what he said was his actual earpiece and performance enhancers, earphones, and ice cream. Now, later during the debate, President Trump repeatedly pushed the lie that mail-in voting is rife with fraud. It is not. Oregon's Republican Secretary of State has said so over and over and over. So has Washington's. And today, hours after the debate ended, Trump tweeted that Biden refused to say the word law and order during their back and forth about Portland protests. But, you know, they record these things, so it's on video, and he did.
Violent crime. Are you in favor of law and order? I'm in favor of law. You follow it. Are you in favor of law and order? Go ahead.
You asked a question. Let him finish.
Law and order. Law and order.
Let him.
Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly.
Okay. Now, look, we can debate whether that is misinformation or disinformation, because for all we know, people truly believed Biden was wearing a wire and thought that they were benefiting people by sharing that. Or Trump just didn't hear Biden say law and order, which I guess is possible. I don't know. But in the end, does it matter? Does any of that matter? Because true or not, it still made its way into our news feeds. But disinformation, it's something we got to keep looking out for, right? Misinformation, disinformation, that's not going anywhere. And we're going to keep taking a look back at this year with a special episode of the story called 2020, How Did We Get Here? It's airing tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. All right, we're almost finished with the last story of the year. We're going to try and go out with a bang with some of your meanest tweets of the year. I can't wait. What a ride, huh? Wow. Last show of 2020 in the books, almost. We got like a minute left. Your questions, I have to say, and your comments and your feedback have been sustaining us since day one. Like this email from Dennis McGoran. Love your show, which keeps getting better and better. Thank you. Or Linda Cole emailing and saying, hi, Dan. Absolutely love the show. Our nightly ritual. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for writing that in and for watching. But as much as I love to hear all those kind messages, and we do get a lot, I know that deep down, you want to hear the mean ones. So we're going to go a little Jimmy Kimmel tonight to end the year on a low note, reading some of the meanest tweets we have gotten since launching this bad boy, starting with a fairly easy one from a viewer named Valerie, who said, sorry, Dan, bring back good old regular news. Hey, we knew when we started the show it wasn't going to be for everybody, and that's okay. Good news is the quote-unquote regular news is still on at noon and 4 and 5 and 6:30 and 11, and you should enjoy it all. On a little meaner note, this one from Susan, who said, You are over your head in this job, Dan. Shut up and listen to people. Okay, it's a little blunt. I'm listening now, as I have been. I hope you feel better about that. Maybe not. All right, strap in for this mean tweet from Lori. She says, Dan Haggerty has caused me to think about no longer watching KGW. The outright disrespect and prejudiced views on his show, The Story, or really his story, is not what the news is all about. He should be back in Texas watching Trump. Can I just say once and for all, I am not from Texas. I worked there once, but I like it better here. Even after this tweet I got from Alan, who said, Dan Haggerty passed in 2016. R.I.P. Grizzly Adams. Not sure who this other hack is. Yes, I happen to share my name with the real-life, late, great, amazing Grizzly Adams, a.k.a. Dan Haggerty, who even in death still forces you to scroll to the third page of Google before finding anything about me. That said, I'm going to take that last one as a compliment, all right? That's up to me, not you. Now, I want to thank everybody, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, everybody for spending this time with us every single night and online to enjoy this crazy show any way you do. For you writing in and giving us ideas and making us laugh, and I do mean this sincerely. We couldn't do this show if you didn't care. And you clearly do. And I couldn't be more grateful for that. So that's the end of the story for 2020. The news at 6:30 is next. Have a great night. Have a very happy and safe new year. I'll see you in 2021.